So this evening, we're very happy to welcome back Rick Hoffman, who spoke last night in the evening satsang. And tonight is his second talk. The topic tonight is called Spiritual Practice Without Judgment or Guilt. And Rick Hoffman, I will introduce him. Living is its own reward, but discovering who is living this life is the blessing of human birth. Rick's Sadguru was Sri Somidayananda Saraswati, with whom Rick had 30 years of guidance and association. Other teachers of importance were Master Numi and Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. Demystifying enlightenment and nirvana, Vedanta, Chan, and Zen Buddhism in a direct and inviting manner is the essence of Rick's approach. And we're very happy that he's here with us tonight. So let us give a warm welcome to Rick Hoffman.
Thank all of you for being here as well. And my goal is that you will find this insightful and fun, and we will be blessed with grace and grit. I don't know how many of you were here last night, but if you were, thank you for being here again tonight. The topic, as Rukmini said, spiritual practice without judgment or guilt. And by the way, this talk is a result of a request that I had to speak on this topic. I want to read the summary of it. Until knowledge blooms, we all have a diminished sense of self, known as self-judgment. Even as spiritual seekers, we are prone to measuring and judging ourselves by our thoughts, words, and deeds. What is your spiritual practice? What are your challenges that you encounter? I would love to hear from you. At the end of this talk, we will have a question and answer period. Feel free at any time to write down a question as a comment or put down a comment. Also at the end, we will have my email address, and I'm more than happy to hear from any of you as well. In terms of how to listen to this talk, there are no rules, whatever works for you. But I will say this, if something strikes a chord and you want to be able to reflect on it later, simply make a note of it. Or about a day after these talks are given, on the Shiva Bahamas course page, this talk will be available. So you can listen to it again and again, or certainly pick a part of it that you would like to hear again. Okay. In any pursuit, we have to know the goal and how to proceed. Suppose you pray to the Lord, "O Lord, please give me a head over my shoulders." And the Lord responds, "It is true that I am all-knowing and all-powerful, but I cannot grant your request. Even I cannot give you what you already have. If you ask for another head, perhaps stacked on top of the one you have, or looking backwards, that I can easily do. If you ask for something inside your head, I may be able to help." By the way, I do use notes. If we were speaking actually all together, I'd use them less because I'm able to see what lands and where people are. But on this type of call, I really don't. So I try to develop the thoughts, and this helps me to do so. At any rate, our perspective is understandable. All human achievement is based on learning, doing, gaining proficiency, except spiritual understanding. Why did the Buddha say, "Don't just do something, stand there"? If we already are what we want to be, then there is something to know, not to do. That is why true spiritual guidance never puts separations or conditions between you and your goal, and why sudden enlightenment is possible. Vedanta deals with three questions. Who am I? Who is the one living this life? What is the nature of the world I find myself in and part of this empirical reality. And who or what is the Lord or God? After all, in no way can I claim authorship for this creation. Leaving the Lord alone for now, if you listen to me, you will know that one of my main themes is that exploring our experience, in living a life is the crux of the Vedantic approach. Vedanta is not a set of beliefs. Vedanta is not a philosophy. All that Vedanta asserts can be, must be verified by you, by me. Because I am what I want to be. The seeker is this thought. Otherwise, knowing myself as I do, given my own self-judgment, believing that I am the body-mind, how can I be limitless, formless awareness, deathless, free of all limitation, full, complete, whole, the whole? Okay, backing away from the cliff for a moment. What makes a qualified student? What allows someone to hear and assimilate that I am the whole? First, we must acknowledge the great boon of human birth. Being human, we are not just driven by instinct. We have the ability to see ourselves and thus discover who I am and what is the truth of this realm. We are self-aware. Second, you understand that choice over action makes us karmically responsible for the choices we make. Why am I going here? If someone is a murderer, a child molester, a rapist, a thief, how easy is it for that person to assimilate you are the whole? Yet in truth, they can never be other than limitless awareness. None of us are probably carrying that baggage, but everyone has a degree of hurt, what has been done or not done to me, guilt for what I have done or not done to others, difficulty at times controlling my emotions, desires, and a cantankerous mind. Not just me, right? You know these things too. The first qualification listed traditionally in this teaching in Sanskrit is sama. Resolution of the mind is sama. As a seeker, sama means a mind that can relax, be available to hear the teaching. There are others, and they are all valuable in this pursuit, but I am not going to proceed in that way. And you do have teachers to assist with understanding this lifestyle. There are two other qualities that I wish to comment on. Desire for liberation. Adi Shankara says that unwavering commitment to freedom is not only the most important attribute, but if this is the driving force in your life, not only will you not be denied freedom, but all the qualities you lack will be developed along the way. In fact, he says that your urgency to be liberated should be like how quickly and decisively you would act if your hair was on fire. Now, of course, when Shankara was living, walking the earth, somewhere around 1000 AD, the story goes, how quickly would you run to the river and put the fire out? But in our world, we may have other ways of addressing, but it is the same point. The desire for liberation is the most important quality. How badly do you want it? The other quality is shraddha, or faith. Trust in the teaching, the words of Vedanta, and in the teacher. You must allow for the possibility that you can be free. And seeing someone like me, but free, means that I can be free too. You will not get liberated against your will. You will not stumble upon yourself. If you have decided that liberation is not real or not real for you, how are you ever going to explore and discover the possibility? No one pursues what they do not believe is possible. They say the Lord is unquestionably fair, but has a soft spot. If you ask the Lord for anything and the Lord will give you that thing. But if you only want the Lord will reveal what is true. As spiritual aspirants, we all have foolish notions about how we should act, think, behave. Believing myself to be the body-mind, I try to imagine or copy how a realized person would act, think, behave, and I may punish or reward myself accordingly. For example, how long can I sit in meditation? How well can I perform a certain asana? Why do I get so angry? Why can't I be free of desire, etc., etc., etc.? This approach is what I call measuring darkness. Can you really measure darkness? Darkness is dark. If my real nature is limitless awareness, how can I be defined, confined, or measured by that which I am aware of? In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 54, Arjuna asked Krishna, how, O long-haired one, does the person with steady wisdom speak, sit, walk? What follows are some beautiful, insightful verses, the essence of which is that when one is happy simply by being himself or herself, then that person has steady wisdom. In other words, you cannot judge a sage or anyone else by outward appearance. Can you objectify yourself? I did this last night, but it never gets old. I'll say a word and you see the object in your mind. Apple, table, car, phone, computer, consciousness. What do you see when I say consciousness? Nothing. Because you are consciousness awareness. You cannot objectify yourself, which means whatever I am aware of is not me. Whatever I am aware of is not me. As a limitless awareness, whatever I'm aware of is limited. I know a thought when I see one. All thoughts are nothing but awareness. Yet awareness is not a thought. Thought is, awareness is. Thought is not, awareness is. Why would I need to be free of thoughts? Are thoughts other than awareness? In a lot of spiritual practice, thought is as if an enemy. We want to get beyond thoughts. We want the mind to be without thoughts. It's a lot easier for them to go away if they're not the enemy. If you understand that thoughts are yourself, thoughts are nothing but awareness. Stay with me. I find myself aware. What do you do to be aware? The reason I want to make this point, and I continually make this point, is because you are never apart from who you are. But we tend not to understand who we really are, and accordingly, through misunderstanding and misidentification, we go beyond and assume that the content of the mind is who we are. Let me say it again. I find myself aware. What do you do to be aware? With thoughts, without thoughts, I find myself aware, because awareness is. When am I not aware? Before you fill in the blank, I'm aware of the body, the mind, sight, hearing, the world, memory, daydreams, dreams when asleep. Awareness is before, during, of course, and when there is nothing to know or witness, I am awareness. And when aware of whatever, I am awareness aware of itself. When am I not aware? So when I judge myself by what I am aware of, I am letting the limited confine the limitless. Can a wave swallow the ocean? In the Vedantic tradition, the steps for discovering myself are: find a teacher who is free and is trained in the methodology of teaching, using words as a means of knowledge, in the same way the eyes allow us to see color and form, the ears allow us to hear sound, etc. The goal is to see myself with the same clarity and assurance that the eyes see or the ears hear. After meeting such a teacher, one listens, reflects, meditates on what is heard, and grows in clarity and thus certainty. For me, after meeting Sri Swami Dayananda Saraswati and listening to the teaching, I was blessed with the grace of seeing myself as he saw me. In this tradition, all of our beliefs are to be questioned in light of the teaching. So when I would judge myself by the content of my mind or my actions or my reactions to the world and other people, I would ask, does any of this separate me or make me other than who I am? You have to be kind to yourself. You have to allow yourself to grow into yourself. Discovering our true nature is not repeating a list of affirmations. In other words, you can't talk yourself into being free. But when through reflection and questioning, you can't accept being other than free, your self-judgment literally implodes or disappears like mist in the morning sun. This teaching is like a cool breeze on a warm day, like a hand of a friend helping lift you from a bad place by going home. And as an aspirant, there will be good days and bad days. When the clouds gather, try an attitude of gratitude. Be thankful for all the blessings in your life. If you've ever done this, then you know. If you haven't, please do. But when you are counting your blessings, when you're feeling gratitude for being alive, for being human, for being healthy, whatever your list is, you cannot at that same minute hold on to anger, grief, loneliness, depression. All of those things are a buildup. We don't always see it, but to be unhappy, to be depressed, to be sad requires thought upon thought upon thought. In other words, we work ourselves up. Sometimes, like anger or frustration, we have gone down this road so many times before, we don't see the individual thoughts, we just find ourselves with those emotions. But contrast that to happiness. Happiness comes when the mind resolves, when we're not looking for the world or myself to be different. In other words, which one really bespeaks of your true nature? One you have to work yourself into, one you find by letting yourself relax into. And the truth of the matter is, if we're unhappy, upset, depressed, who wants to remain there? But if you're happy, who's in a hurry to pull the plug? What does that say about our real nature? Okay. And if your commitment to being free cannot be restrained, remember, any pain you experience is going away pain. Let it go by embracing what you know to be true. That even now, even when I cannot see it, I cannot be other than myself, limitlessly free. Don't we owe it to ourselves to see ourselves as our guru sees us? Om. Tat Twam Asi. You are that. You can never be other than your true nature. All limitation is as if no one is really broken. No one really needs to be fixed. Really, take a deep breath. You are who you want to be. We are never apart from who we really are. Yes, it's a matter of discovery, but we are never separated. Okay, there are some takeaways from tonight. So these are things to reflect on, to meditate on. I find myself aware. What do I do to be aware? When am I not aware? What cannot be objectified is myself. What is the corresponding object for awareness? Everything else I know or do not know is an object of awareness. All that I know or all that I can know is limited or subject to change. The limitless is aware of the limited. The changeless is aware of the changing. Who am I? I'm going to go on to one other issue, if I may. In spiritual circles, it is not uncommon to hear the world is illusion or the world is unreal. I found this particularly troubling as an aspirant. It really unnerved me. It just didn't sit right with me. Swami Dayananda always maintained that you cannot dismiss experience, especially as we find ourselves within and part of this empirical universe. Instead, to assimilate, we must understand our experience. Last night, we were talking about a watery world. The wave is nothing but water. The truth of the wave is no wave. The size of the wave, the height of the wave, the weight of the wave are nothing but water. So whereas the wave has no existence apart from water, the water is not limited to being a wave. To stretch the example, water vapor, rain, ice are all nothing but water. But water cannot be limited to any form. As Krishna said, I am all things, but no thing contains me. As Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj said, when I know that I am nothing, no thing, that is wisdom. When I know that I am everything, that is love. I know it seems that there is myself, the world, and the Lord. But remember, limitless includes the limited. There really are not three. And when we find the truth about ourselves, then we answer the nature of the world and the nature of the creation at the same time. I want to just go to a prayer of a bhakti. O Lord, all that I see, all that I am, or will ever be, is nothing but you. Help me to see that I am you. The Nisargadatta Maharaj said, surrender is like pouring a cup of water into the ocean. You can't get it back. In other words, trust the Lord, trust in your guru, trust in the words of Vedanta to set you free. Okay. Now we've arrived at that happy moment where, please, if you have questions, and I was told this time to wait, if you haven't already written them down, please add them as comments and we'll go there. If you have any particular comments, do that as well. Before we enter into this right now, I want to thank you for being here. And if you want more of this, please let the ashram know. You will, at a later moment, few moments from now, see a screen that lists a couple of YouTube talks that I have recorded. If you don't get the link, if you have the name, go to Yahoo Videos, put down the name and then Rick Hoffman, and the video should appear. So now, if there are questions, I would be more than happy to discuss them. What? Okay, I was just reminded of something. And let me say this, the gist of tonight's conversation, spiritual practice without judgment or guilt. What I'm really suggesting is either you come from the perspective from knowing that you are free, freedom is who you are, or you're willing to embrace the possibility that you are free. If you do that, when the mind judges, and you will, your thoughts, your words, your deeds, it's much easier to let them go. It's much easier to see that the limited can't really define the limitless. Also, guilt is based on the fact that what I did do or didn't do. But remember, and I really believe this with all my heart, if you knew to do better, you would have. Nobody does it. Nobody acts in ways if they really know better than that. So give yourself a break. cut yourself some slack. Come from the perspective that I really am already free. And it's a matter of embracing that and allowing myself to see what is the truth of who I am. Joy into joy. Okay, we're back to, are there any questions? Let me look here. Okay.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Rick, thank you for the talk. My question is, can you please explain the role of the practice of Dharma in Vedanta?
You asked for the practice of Dharma?
Dharma, following Dharma.
Karma or Dharma?
Dharma, with D, Dharma.
Karma. With
No.
a K? Okay. I'm sorry. Difficult hearing.
No problem. Dharma.
Dharma.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So Dharma, in other words, right action, is really an interesting observation that the Vedas talk about. In our hearts, we really know what is right and what is wrong. If in doing something I hurt others, that is wrong. In other words, it really is the golden rule. Don't do unto others what you wouldn't want done unto yourself. Do unto others what you would do unto yourself. So if we understand that I am you, as you are me, as we are all each other, who is going to hurt themselves? Am I going to beat my left arm with my right arm? Of course not. And that is really the truth. The differences are only apparent. The reality is we are all the same. But in a practical way, living with an understanding, do to others as you would want done to yourself, will let you live dharmically. Any other questions? Well, if I have another moment on this question, then Dharma and karma are connected. We, of course, are all interconnected. But when you do what is dharmically correct, then your karma is correct as well. So, and remember, it's actually easier to do the right thing. That may seem silly, but isn't it true? When you do the right thing, you feel good. When you don't, you feel bad. What more guidance do we need than that? And the truth of Dharma is situational. What you do in one situation may be different than what you do in another. But again, if you let your heart be your guide, what you would want done to yourself, you'll do the right thing for others. Any other questions?
Rick, can you hear?
Yes, I can.
Thank you very much for the wonderful talk. One question, if I may, you mentioned about thoughts being awareness. Do you mind elaborating on that?
Sure. Excellent question. When you have a thought, any thought, the thought itself is nothing other than awareness. In fact, let's go at this in another way. When I go to sleep at night and I dream worlds upon worlds, there may be mountains, there may be villages, people, animals. I am myself in the dream. But the reality is there's nothing but thought. And thought is not other than awareness. Awareness is really all there is. We see this in dream, there is nothing but thought. In the waking state, if I daydream, it's nothing but thought. Awareness aware of itself. This is what non-duality means. We think that the world is separate from myself. My thoughts are separate from myself. But really there is only awareness. And our own experience, whether in dream or in daydream or in memory, imagination, it is all nothing but thought. So again, I know it's different than what we normally think, but there is only awareness. And thought is one of the most pure examples of awareness aware of itself. There is no second thing. Any further question on that subject or any other?
Thank you, Rick. No.
So thank you very much. We would like to thank Rick Hoffman. Let's give him a big hand. And you can see on the screen his email that he's offering for you to contact him, as well as 2 YouTube talks, one on what is Vedanta and the other one, Happy in Place even during the pandemic.